Hey folks, today we're going to take a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Alliance, the card game, and it's self-published by designer Cole Cornell. Now, if you like what you see throughout the rest of this preview video, I'm going to encourage you to go to the official Kickstarter project page to find out even more information than I could possibly tell you here. To do that, you're going to follow the link in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video, and hopefully you will consider backing the project. Now, Alliance is a competitive game for 2 players. You are going to be facing off with different decks of cards, and what we're going to be looking at today is actually the starter set. So in the future, there's the potential for multiple expansions and ways to change cards out of your deck, have brand new decks and new factions, things like that. But in this starter set, you're going to have the faction of King Rhaegar or the faction of Zaldar, who have the king has the forces of light and they are the Alliance. So you've got spearmen, swordmen, elven archers, centaurs, things like that, and the king himself. And then Zaldar has dragons and dragon people and dark warriors and firebirds and things like that. And you'll be facing off against each other. The main goal is to try and take out your opponent's leader, but of course that's easier said than done, because the leader, while you can see them, both in the story sense, but also physically, you have to rip through your opponent's army cards to get to that leader and finally take him out. And again, that's not an easy thing to do. Lots of different cards, lots of different high quality artwork. Before we go any further, let me give you a brief look at how the game is played and at all the different components with a prototype version of the game. So that's very important. Do realize that the final version of the game may change to what you see here. Obviously, the component quality will be higher and things like that. And that is why you need to go to the Kickstarter page to find out more information. But then in any event, we will come back after that and discuss it further. Alliance, the card game, is a competitive game for 2 players. Each player controls an army of either light or darkness and must try to defeat the enemy leader while defending their own leader. They'll use common units or powerful generals to build their army and wage war. Whoever can defeat the enemy leader first is the winner of the game. We'll take a look at the starter set today. Start the setup by laying out the game board. Each player will set up on one side of the board that matches the color of the faction they want to play as, either the blue forces of King Rhaegar or the red forces of Zaldar. Each player gets the deck of cards of their chosen faction. Their leader, Rhaegar or Zaldar, is placed on their indicated spot on their side of the board. The rest of the deck is shuffled and placed on its spot. 5 cards are flipped off the deck and placed into the army spots. Let's look at the cards. All cards fall into 3 classes as indicated in the top left corner: leader, general, or unit. Each deck will have 35 cards, with 1 leader, 4 unique generals, and 30 general units, of which you can only have up to 5 of any particular card. The top right corner indicates whether the troop has ranged or melee attacks. The bottom right has the card type, either warrior, beast, mage, beast warrior, or beast mage, and its health points. The box on the card has both the story description for the card and its attack values. The roll numbers indicate which numbers you have to roll to successfully attack, and the attack numbers are how much damage you'll deal with the corresponding roll. This game uses d6s. The game comes with a special 6-sided die that each player will roll to determine who goes first and then begin. Each turn has 2 main phases: placement and battle. In the placement phase, if you have any open spots in your army, draw a card from the deck and place it in one of the spots. You may only do this once, even if you have multiple spots open, and when you run out of cards, you simply can't do it any longer. Then comes the battle phase. You can make up to 2 attacks per turn, and each character card can only attack once per turn. Simply choose a card to attack with, choose a target in your enemy's army row, and roll the die, hoping to hit one of your target numbers and deal damage. The injured unit will take a health token with their new total to replace the total that's on their card. If the target has no health points remaining after an attack, it's removed from play and placed into the slain pile. There are also advanced battle rules coming soon that you can optionally use. With those rules, only ranged characters can choose any target that they want in the enemy army, and melee characters can only attack the units directly in front of them and diagonally. You can move a character over one spot, but it will cost you one of your attacks for the turn. And eventually, different character types will also have unique special abilities for strategic use. If you can eliminate every single character in your opponent's army slots, then the leader is wide open. That leader is also now free to attack when your enemy's turn comes back around, and they are quite powerful and have a lot of health points. But if you can defeat that leader attacking the same way as you have been up to that point, the game will eventually end in your victory. That is Alliance. I think Alliance fills a very important role in the very broad overarching genre of two-player competitive head-to-head card games, strategic card games. It's quite a mouthful for that genre too that I just sort of made up. But no, there are a lot of competitive head-to-head card games, especially with either fantasy or sci-fi genre. And the one thing that Alliance definitely does have in common with them is that you will eventually be able to build your deck and put in different units and swap them out and play as different faction decks and things like that. But what's important about Alliance is that while, yes, you can do deck building ahead of time and the game is definitely strategic, it does not take a tremendous amount of time, effort, rules learning. There's no steep learning curve to this game. It plays very fast, but also teaches very fast, and the deck building is very fast as well. You have your important units, you have your leader, and you can only have up to 4 unique generals who are very important for your army, and then you've got all the common generals. But ultimately, especially when you're playing with the advanced rules, the most important thing that you want to do is make sure that you are covering all of your bases, that you have range units to hit any unit that you can at any time. But those powerful melee units, you need them to be able to have some of them at least and keep them mobile along your army path there on the board. When special abilities come out as well, it's going to be incredibly important to use because ultimately it's going to come down to you potentially having your leader become vulnerable as the game drags on, but you need to whittle down your opponent as much as possible before that happens. The setup is very simple, the rules explanation is very fast, and actually playing through the game, turns go very quickly as well, so the game keeps moving at a brisk pace, and it doesn't take up a huge footprint either. But again, the key is in the customization. You're going to be able to get more decks of this for this game with different factions, more unit cards just to put into the different decks that you have and swap out and have a different gameplay experience. And then when you play with one deck, if you feel that you've mastered it, you can switch and play with another deck against your opponent, and so on and so forth. So despite the fact that the game keeps everything very, very straightforward and uncluttered, there is strategy there, and there is a wider game to be had if you're interested in that kind of customization. And if that does apply to you, if you're interested or know someone who is, don't take my word for it. Go to the official Kickstarter project page and find out more information than I could possibly tell you here. You can do that by following the link in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video. That is Alliance, the card game, self-published by designer Cole Carnell. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, for supporting our sponsors. Take care.